All right, here we go. Severe weather talk. Give me just a moment to get all this shared out, and we will rock and roll. Been a bit since I've been on. We've been a little bit busy in real life. But the weather is certainly about to get active. I'm going to get this shared out on good old Facebook and YouTube, then we'll get started. Let me know where you're watching from tonight. Be sure to hit that like button, that share button. Helps get the word out. We're going to get started in just a minute, friends. Hey, Dwayne. Good to see you. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Thank you for joining us. Let's get started. How's everybody doing? Been a hot minute. Of course, Michael, for some strong wind coming up on this weekend. And I apologize, folks. We are having some hiccups with the stream, so I'm going to do my best to get through it. Just bear with me. All right. So right now, things nice, calm in Kentucky, feeling like spring, even though we've got a couple of days in the calendar before we roll things over officially, although meteorologically, spring started March 1st, and I tend to go with that more than the calendar spring. And it's certainly going to feel like spring the next couple of days. Temperature is going to be into the 70s. We may even flirt with 80 on Friday. But you guys know when we get that kind of a surge of warm air in the springtime, all it takes is for a strong cold front to spark off some severe weather. And unfortunately, that's what it looks like is going to happen on Friday and Saturday. We'll take a look at the storm that's going to do that in just a second. That's kind of why I've got the radar zoomed out. But I wanted to show the severe weather threat map for Friday from the Storm Prediction Center. So y'all are used to seeing this map. You guys know severe weather threat from the Storm Prediction Center, 5 levels. Marginal in the green. The yellow is a elevated or a slight risk, then enhanced. Then you go up to moderate in red, and then usually a pink for high. Well, we've already got level 3 out in western Kentucky for Friday. And this is going to be a storm system that's going to roll through overnight Friday into Saturday. And it's actually going to be a two-parter. We get wave 1 Friday night into Saturday morning, and then wave 2 Saturday afternoon and evening. And I think wave 2 may be the bigger deal in central and eastern Kentucky. I know I've got a lot of folks around London and Corbin back over in eastern Kentucky from my days in YMT. That watch me over there. So I know the core of my audience is central and eastern Kentucky. But I did want to go ahead and get this out there for folks in western Kentucky that may watch this or see this or may not know what's going on, just to give them a heads up, because this will impact them on Friday. I think for us in central and eastern Kentucky, this is definitely more of a Saturday event, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But the big threat with both days of severe weather, at least for us in Kentucky, is going to be the wind. There is a heavy rain threat. There could be some isolated flooding. I'm not going to rule that out, but my main concern is the wind. And it's all thanks to this big storm system currently building out in California. And you're saying, Shane, we're going all the way out to the West Coast. Well, we are. Area of low pressure, currently in Northern California, centered up around Redding. Doesn't look super impressive right now, bringing rain to the West Coast, some snow into the Sierra Nevadas. That is going to cross the Intermountain West tomorrow. Once it gets on the leeward side of the Rockies, this storm is absolutely going to explode meteorologically. What we mean by that is we are going to see rapid intensification of an area of low pressure as a deep, deep trough digs in from Canada. We are talking winds with this storm system in the upper levels of the atmosphere are going to reach 100, 120, 140 knots. Not miles per hour, knots. Some very strong wind with this storm up above our heads, and some of that could mix down here to the surface Friday to Saturday. So that is what we are concerned with. Now, there's a little bit of a thunderstorm outbreak going on tonight down in Texas. We may even get a few storms tomorrow from that system. I don't think they will be severe, but we may see a strong storm or two pop up tomorrow evening for us here in central and eastern Kentucky. Now, once again, western Kentucky for Friday, enhanced risk, 3 out of 5. Main concern, damaging winds, heavy rain. That extends from around Russellville, back over towards Hopkinsville, up towards Owensboro, west towards Paducah, and Mayfield, Murray. A 2 out of 5 from Louisville to Bowling Green, E-Town included that, a 1 out of 5, pretty much along and just west of the I-75 corridor. That is Friday. Saturday, the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center doesn't have this product available. That's day 4 right now. They only issued the severe weather product you're seeing here out until day 3. However, Colorado State University has been running a really cool experiment lately where they are using machine learning, AI effectively, plus weather data to simulate those forecasts on into days 4, 5, 6, and 7. And so far, it's done pretty good. It's been interesting to see the results. The thing that caught my attention from that model output for Saturday for us in Eastern Kentucky is it was putting us in a 45 to 60% chance of severe weather. That would be a moderate risk, and you notice the hash marks over it. That is significant severe weather. Significant being severe weather that can impact lives and cause damage to property. When you see the significant word come out with severe weather, that's a red flag that it's like, oh, this is not going to be your run-of-the-mill thunderstorm. This is something we need to pay a little bit closer attention to. And even outside of thunderstorms Saturday, there is potential, according to some of the models we're looking at right now and that we're going to look at here in a second, that we may see 70-mile-per-hour winds outside of thunderstorms. And that's not unheard of this time of year. You all think back to last March. We had some of those winds rip across the Bluegrass that were 70 miles per hour when a very, very strong area of low pressure crossed the state. So it is not unheard of for us to get a strong wind event without a traditional severe weather outbreak that can cause a lot of issues. So we're going to take a look at some of the different models, how everything plays out. We're going to start out Thursday morning. And you'll see that storm system that's down in Texas right now. It's kind of dying out early in the morning hours. This is about, 5 o'clock in the morning or so. Few scattered showers possible in western Kentucky. Those die out. And as we go into the afternoon, central Kentucky may see a renegade storm or two pop up as that piece of energy dies off. But then as we go into Friday evening, that squall line develops across Missouri with a 975 millibar area of low pressure. Just for reference, that is about the equivalent of a Category 3 hurricane in pressure. That's a very strong area of low pressure. Very similar to the storm that we had that caused all the wind last year in March. It's just further away, so the wind won't be as bad for us here in Kentucky, but it will likely bring a squall line event in here early Saturday morning. This is around midnight, putting that squall line between Paducah and E-Town, between Murray and Bowling Green. And the model runs out at about 1 a.m. with it getting ready to approach the I-65 corridor. Within that, we could be seeing very strong wind gusts and at least the risk of tornadoes. You see here on the SKU-T chart, marginal tornado threat. You've got a lot of shear. You've got very low lifted condensation level. That means the clouds are going to be forming very close to the ground, about 5,000 feet up. The instability is not great. That's the big limiting factor, but the shear is kind of off the charts. That's the amount of spin in the atmosphere. So I am concerned for Friday in Western Kentucky in that enhanced risk for the potential of tornadoes. So we're going to put that one out there right there. Friday night, early Saturday morning, Western Kentucky, you need to be severe weather aware for the potential of tornadoes, straight line winds, and some brief heavy rain and intense lightning. Now, I think the more widespread wind threat, maybe not as intense severe weather, we're going to have to wait and see, comes for the rest of Kentucky on Saturday. We're going to switch models. Unfortunately, the NAM model, none of the mesoscale models go out past 3 days. So we got to go to the more synoptic models for day 4, and that's where Saturday is right now. So there's that squall line as depicted by the European model coming through Saturday morning. And then a second area of low pressure starts developing along the Gulf Coast. Now, this low is not going to be as strong pressure-wise as the low that's going into the upper Midwest. However, it is going to have more access to a very strong overhead jet streak. Now, what's a jet streak? You're probably saying, Shane, I've not heard you say that term very often. Well, a jet streak, see if I can pull up upper air wind. Oh, that's not a great way. Upper 850 height wind. There we go. A jet streak is a very intense burst of wind in the jet stream. Jet stream level, typically, when you're talking about the jet stream, up around 30,000 feet. That's the main air currents in the atmosphere that steer the weather. But a low-level jet, in this case, an 850 millibar jet, is about 5,000 feet off the ground. And we're seeing winds possible Saturday about 5,000 feet off the ground of around 80 to 90 knots. That is a very, very strong low-level jet. And that gives the chance during thunderstorms for some of those strong winds to mix down to the surface. So here's the GFS model with surface wind gusts. This is Friday, 10 o'clock. Bowling Green could see gusts up to 53, E-Town 53, Paducah 50, Somerset, Lexington 45 miles per hour. So gusty winds Friday night into Saturday morning as that first squall line comes in and dies out. Then, as that second low spins up and comes up into the Appalachians, surface wind gust, according to the GFS model, no joke, 75 to 80 miles per hour in this dark yellow. There's a 79 mile per hour wind gust just southeast of E-Town, if the GFS model is right. And widespread 60 mile per hour wind gusts Saturday night outside of thunderstorms. That is just the given wind without thunderstorms. You get thunderstorms, you could enhance that wind even further up into the 80 to 85 mile per hour range. The tornado threat, Maria, just to see your question on Saturday, is not looking as bad right now. But I want to caution, that's for right now. We're not yet in range of the mesoscale models, the more high-resolution modeling, the ones that do a little bit better with severe weather. That will happen tomorrow. We'll start to get in range of some of them. But I wanted to go ahead and get an early heads up out that Friday in Western Kentucky and Saturday for the entire state, folks need to be paying attention to the weather. I'll show you kind of what some of the severe weather profiles are looking like during like peak timing. This is Saturday about 7 o'clock, according to the European model. And I know you guys are not used to looking at skew T's. So a skew T diagram, this breaks down the wind at different levels. You want to see a little bit more shear for tornadoes. See possible hazard type none. So you don't have quite the profile for traditional, you think, supercells, widespread long-lived tornadoes. Isolated spin up possible. My main concern Saturday, though, is just the intense wind. Even outside of thunderstorms, we could see gusts between 60 and 70. Thunderstorms go up, maybe add 5-10 miles per hour on top of that. 80 mile per hour winds, whether they're straight line or whether they're rotating as a tornado, still going to cause damage, still going to cause problems. So I'm kind of giving you guys the heads up that strong winds are likely Saturday, and especially in central and eastern Kentucky. And I know that's where the bulk of my audience is. But for my friends in western Kentucky, I did want to go ahead and give you guys a heads up. Pay attention to some of your local meteorologists out there on Friday. I think the best chance of tornadoes, just FYI, on Saturday is going to be down in Alabama. Like, you look down there and the profiles are a little bit better. Got a little bit more humidity, a little bit higher dew points, a little bit stronger shear. And once again, it's still early in the game. Usually I don't like getting too worked up about severe weather until like 2 to 3 days out. I know we're on day 4, but it's a strong enough signal that I at least think we've got to start talking about the potential of dealing with wind gusts on Saturday up to 70 miles per hour. That seems like a very realistic possibility at this point. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but there's been enough data showing it long enough. I'm at least comfortable mentioning, hey, be ready to deal with very strong winds Saturday, excuse me, across central and eastern Kentucky. Widespread 60 mile per hour wind gusts likely. Some areas could go 70, 75. We may even push 80 outside of thunderstorms. We'll have a better idea tomorrow when some of the mesoscale models start picking up on this storm. We'll definitely have a really good idea Friday. Like Friday around lunchtime, we'll know one way or another how this is looking. The other thing that gets complicated about Saturday's system that's going to throw a wrench in the forecast is A, what happens Saturday morning left over from storm number 1, and B, what happens to our south on Saturday. Because if that energy gets stolen, that moisture gets stolen, you can get some dynamics in play in the atmosphere that can kind of mess with things. So we're going to have to kind of watch and see how that evolves as well. I am not going to guarantee a live tomorrow. I may do a brief video. We'll see. Probably we'll do a live around 8 or 9 o'clock, or try to get a video out around them. We'll most definitely try to do a live on Friday to get everyone ready for Saturday. Other questions? So let folks know, let your friends know, hey, severe weather is possible. Share this out. Give them a heads up. Tell them to like and follow, subscribe to my pages, pay attention. Have an app that can get weather alerts, weather radio. You got time to run to Walmart and get one if you don't have one before Saturday. I'm concerned for Western Kentucky Friday, and I'm just concerned overall for the entire state Saturday. Even without severe weather, just the wind. 70-mile-per-hour winds is nothing to mess around with, folks. We saw it last year in March. It can cause power outages. It can cause a mess. And it seems like these big wind events in the spring are starting to become a little bit more common around here. This is at least the third or fourth one I can remember in the last probably 4 or 5 years where we've had, even outside of thunderstorms, big winds pushing 65, 70 miles per hour coming through the state. All right, folks, so we're just past 9:45. I'm going to wrap this up for tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching me. Like me on Facebook, Meteorologist Shane Smith. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, S. Smith Weather, or type in Meteorologist Shane Smith. Hit that notification bell on both platforms so you can see when I post new content and get alerts for that. And we'll probably have some more content coming up the next couple of days talking about this. So until next time, friends, take care